We actually received a quote for all of the 150 trees that we have, and so we got a really good rate on that, and that's 8-inch per, $8 per diameter inch. So say if you have a 10-inch tree, it's going to be $80 to treat that tree. I can tell you the 11 trees we have at the community center average anywhere between 15 and 18 inches. So yeah, and those are fairly new trees, 15-year-old trees. So if you're looking at somebody who maybe has a 20 or 30-year-old tree, then they very easily could be up to 25, 30 inches in diameter, and you multiply that by $8, in which we got the discount because we had a significant number of trees, but it could go as high as $12 to $15 per inch for treatment. Now this is not a treat at once, you're good to go. It's a treat every 2 years for at least the next 25 years. So
I thought once they got in.
Yeah, I didn't even think you could treat it.
Yeah, I thought once they were in, that was
well,
it.
Yeah, that's what I have read.
no, you can treat. Again, how good, there's no guarantee with the treatment either that it is going to survive. So that's when you have to ask yourself, do we let nature take its course? It's kind of like the, well, we've
Well, that's what
already,
you're supposed to do.
yeah,
In
last
quarantine
year,
areas.
last year through our update and modifications to Chapter 240 of the city ordinance, we did make it, did prohibit planting of ash trees within the city of Mission, whether on public or private land. So,
do we have any other species where we have insect infestation, like the pine beetle or anything like that that is native to this area?
not currently, yeah. But, I think
Is it a problem in Mission? Do we have a lot of ash trees with the little emerald borer?
well, we don't know how many of them right now because they say that from the time a tree gets infested until it dies could be up to 8 years. You'll first start noticing a dieback of the canopy, and you can see the exit marks on the trunks and things like
It might
that.
be 5 years before you even notice anything.
Absolutely.
But we haven't noticed anything. Is that what you're
Well, no,
saying?
the inventory said there were trees that were in poor condition. I mean, does that mean?
It doesn't necessarily mean they're infested.
Right.
Right.
Well, Kathy Locker.
Yeah, Kathy Locker.
had a tree that was infested and had to be removed.
Yeah.
So
I
we know.
knew it
yeah.
originated with her.
Well,
We
I
have
was
to
trying not to throw her under the bus.
I know.
But
But
she did
so we
pull a
have
prank on me
actually
today,
seen it,
so.
that we have, that they're here. It's not
Yeah.
just a wait and see.
And it's been identified in every one of our surrounding communities.
Yeah.
Roland Park, Shawnee, Prairie Village, Merriam. So,
Well,
so
they're
the
going
big,
through Millhaven, telling people there they've got ash trees. They're
Yeah.
telling them that they're good at ash.
Yeah.
Is there a rate that can be established for the county for all the cities so it costs less per tree if we do it collectively?
well, I think each city has to decide.
Well,
Well, and I think-
are we gonna treat ours?
Yeah, and I think our big thing is, and that's really where, the bid that we got to treat the trees that rated in good condition was $24,296. And that would be every other year for the next 25 years.
It'd probably be cheaper just to chop the tree down and put it in a new tree.
Plant a new tree was the whole thing.
So really, where we're going with the plan
Or let
though,
it die.
is not only what are we gonna do with the trees, but
Put it out.
where is the responsibility gonna lay? Who's it gonna lie with? And
On public property.
It's
Well-
ours, not this right-of-way thing, kind of this other cities.
Yeah, this-
The right-of-way is the property owner.
it's correct.
Yeah, no.
And so this really kind of clarifies there that the city will be responsible. It doesn't address the public trees, but we know we're responsible for the trees that are in the public, in the parks,
Right.
and on city buildings.
So
But-
you're saying
in-
in the right-of-way, there are responsibilities?
No, no.
She said no. I don't agree with that. If they're in the city's right-of-way, I feel as though they are our responsibility. If we planted them, first of all, it's our responsibility.
And we don't know who planted what trees.
Right.
Most of the time, it's homeowners
So
that
let's
plant their trees.
clarify right-of-way.
Okay.
So on Johnson Drive, where we acquire, is it because we acquired the right-of-way? That's why it's our property now? It's not the right-of-way. So we had trees planted there before,
Yeah.
not in our right-of-way.
Kind of,
Well, think about it this way. The right of way has grass and trees and shrubs in it right now, and we don't mow it. We don't trim the trees that are there now.
You mean in our private property?
Right.
And
Okay,
so
I
right
thought you were
away,
talking
just
about
along
Which is
the
like the
street.
first 10 feet.
Well, there's really kind of no right of way on Johnson Drive anymore because we own it.
Along Johnson Drive where we put that landscaping in. So I think
I
when
don't
we
know that.
put landscaping in, we would take responsibility.
And that's an issue that's come up on it, who owns or who has responsibility. Once we start cutting it, it becomes
No, I
hard.
know.
And
No, I
when you
understand.
refer back to the city code, it does say that if a tree is located in the right of way and it becomes a hazard, then we direct the homeowner to address and take care of that tree.
Well, I like the action plan to get people notified, educate them on what's going on with it, so that they're at least armed with information that they can use if they do have ash trees in the yard and they want to pay to have somebody treat them or whatever. But as far as the treating the city trees, are we talking about that right now too? This is the only thing we're talking about.
No, we're not talking about the city trees right
Okay.
now.
Yeah, I'm cool with that. I think it's
But
a
I
good idea.
hate
to
to
educate them.
spend, I mean, so when we educate them in the mission newsletter and on the website and via Facebook, do we have to mail them things? I mean, I'm just trying to, I'd rather the tree board spend their money on buying a tree than spend $1,000 mailing things to people. That's my 2 cents.
Yeah.
But, I don't know if anybody else feels that way, but. Community center flyers, flyers here, I don't know. Maybe ask like the hardware stores if we can put flyers in there,
Those aren't for
You
you.
know, what we could do is,
So
I mean, we
you
have an inventory with
It's a
the
lot cheaper
address of
than
the
that.
trees.
We do.
So why don't we, I mean, if we take that approach first, if we have an inventory with the address of the trees, we could post that on the website, and then you could direct people, if you want to double check to see if you have an ash tree on your property, there's not a question about it, right? So the newsletter could direct them to the website, I just look for my address and I say.
But there's no name, it's not like
Right,
Amy
not-
Miller lives in
correct,
that address.
we'll
it's
just have
an
an address.
And you can put it in the Lincoln magazine. Look at website such and such for information.
See if
See
you
if your
own an
address
ash tree.
is on this website.
We could put an ash tree picture in the.
What is that list you're talking about?
It's the inventory that Arbor Masters did
Yeah, but
last.
that's just the ones out on the street.
Exactly.
Right, it's not all of them.
Right.
But they can
So
always
they-
call, if they do have one, it gives them a resource of where to look at and what they can do about it. They can call them. and
True,
tell
but what about the people who aren't on that list but have them in their backyard or whatever?
them.
They're on their own.
They're on their own, yeah. Just like me, I took a tree down this summer. It was dead. I had to, I knew my tree was dead. It's pretty evident. I just had to pick it up.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's common sense when you got a dead tree in your yard. Or if it's getting sick, to call somebody.
Wait, sometimes you can't afford it.
True. But don't we have a
Sometimes you
tree-
don't really know it's
Don't we have a
sick.
program for someone who really can't afford it?
It's all part of the Mission Possible program now, we've
Yeah.
lumped everything under that one umbrella.
You got people from the tree board here, can I ask them, what was the plan for this educational communication program?
Well, as I understood it, the people that we have identified with the trees in their yard that's visible, we wanted to let them know individually, first of all, that they have an ash tree, that there's a problem, and this is what they can do, so that they have it in their hand. This is my ash tree, and this is my option.
So we've got their address, we could send them a
We have
direct
their
mail.
address, so we were not going to send it to everybody in Mission, we were just going to send it to the ones that we know on the inventory, that they definitely need to have this information. And definitely, putting it in the newsletter and on the website is awfully good idea too.
Sure.
But we just want to make sure that the people who we know have this tree, and that we know they're going to have a problem,
Right. I
that
think
they
that's good.
will have the options of what they can do.
Karen, do you have an idea how many people have ash trees?
231.
Well,
Yeah,
that's-
so it's only
that's-
like.
Or 231
If you
500
mail,
bucks.
yeah, I think if you did even a postcard mail or something else, I think it's reasonable, I think you're
Under
in
100 bucks.
100.
It would be just a very basic,
Right.
this is what your option is.
I like it.
Yeah.
Jackie?
Also, in addition to that, the timeliness of this notification to the residents is very important, because on April 22nd, the Mission Tree Board has contracted with Dennis Patton, who is the extension agent for the Kansas State Resource here at our extension agency in Johnson County. He is an EAD expert. He is going to speak the evening of April 22nd. And we want to get this information out to all of the residents who need to have as much information as possible about EAD. There are lots of websites they can visit, they can talk to the tree board, they can talk to Christy, but I think having Dennis Patton there to hear his presentation, see his slides, have the interaction of the questions from the other people in attendance, and this particular event is broadcast metro-wide. The Heartland Tree Alliance, Kansas State Research and Extension Agency are all advertising it right over here at Sylvester Powell.
So, since this is such a low cost, we probably ought to just go ahead and approve because if we wait till the 15th to approve this, we're not gonna get it mailed out in time.
I agree.
You guys go, you go.
Thank you.
You go.
I'll go.
All right.
Okay.
Well, wasn't the meeting on the bulletin board in the magazine?
Yes.
It's in there too.
Okay.
But calling attention to the people that really know, they might not know they have an extra.
Well, that'll be out the end of.
Well, no, the magazine, it was on the bulletin board in the last magazine.
Yeah, okay.
But we'll do a individual postcard letter or something to everyone every address that's identified on the inventory.
You don't need to send them.
Okay. What's your
I don't
address?
have one. I just have a Magnolia.
Well, she's got a list of all the addresses, right?
No.
She just don't pinpoint them. Yeah. Pull one
So
off
is
the
this,
street.
is this something we're gonna be voting on?
Yeah.
So this is on the consent?
Yes.
Well,
So I think take the rest of the action plan, but I think what I heard you say was go ahead and get the information out, right?
Yeah.
If you're supportive of that.
Thank you guys for your work on getting on that and for bringing him in. That sounds kind of fun.
Yeah, pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Do you think he'll actually bring some of the evil little creatures with him?
No, that's how they get here.
I have some.
We don't need,
In my,
yes, we don't need any more admission.
oh yeah. Karen, Laura wants a tattoo.
Oh, I got some.
I didn't bring them tonight, sorry.
Give it to Pat. Pat wants one too.
I'll bring them.
I've already
He'll
got
put it
one.
on his head.
I've already
Yeah,
got
there you
one.
Okay.
Okay, so that, any more questions about the Emerald Ash Borer? So, and then the next thing is the Mission Tree Plan.
Yeah. This City of Mission Tree Plan, very simple document that we have, talks about how the tree board will interface with elected officials, with the public, kind of what their roles and responsibilities are. We changed nothing very significant in this. You actually saw it 2 years ago. Really kind of some house cleaning items, like on the first page, the very first letter where it says, this plan originally was added. The word originally was added. It used to just say this plan adopted by the tree board on September 17th, 2007. So we just wanted to say, okay, that was our original date of adoption. Then, on the second page where it talks about, in the last sentence of the first paragraph, bullet point number 1, action will be taken by the enforcement officer. That's actually changed to neighborhood services officer, just kind of cleaning that up. Then, at the very end, bottom number 3, where it starts the last sentence on the next to the last line, the tree board will base recommendations being mindful of using environmentally sustainable, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, we just reworded that because it used to randomly go on forever and ever. And so we just took out a few words and cleaned up the kind of the clarification of what we were trying to say.
I think you did an excellent job.
So,
That sounds good.
so it really kind of just a housekeeping item.
take that down.
I believe there's
I got you.
clarification and direction there for the tree board. I like it. Thanks.
Yeah, so, just as we talked about before, when we get documents or things like this that have changes, if we could have tracking changes done, or they be highlighted, that way we don't have to.
Absolutely,
Whatever,
yeah,
just
yeah, I
that way.
definitely meant to include that, and I just
Okay. Thank you.
But thank you for
Spaced it
going
all.
over it.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep. There was
Yep.
nothing significant, but.
Yeah, definitely, my bad.
No.
Okay. That's all I have.
Consent, consent. Thank you, Christy.
You're sure welcome.
John Belger.
Biennial bridge inspection contract. Thank you, tree board.
Thank you for allowing us time.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, biannual bridge inspections. This is the same contract that we do biannually for all the inspections of all the bridges in town. Probably the biggest change in the contract is you'll notice that we've gone from 10 bridges to 9 bridges. The reason that is because Markway and Woodson, before we did the Markway project, was actually considered 2 bridges.
Oh, that's why.
So when we did that project, it all got combined into one. So we have gone from 10 to 9.
Nice.
This is the biennial inspections that go and rate the conditions of all the bridges that we have in town and provides us a list of maintenance items that we need to do. This is a federal requirement, so
Self-explanatory.
pretty much.
Number 7 is the one that's in Wyandotte County, correct? So most of the bridges in Wyandotte County.
No, that is.
No,
It's not on there.
some of these don't actually look like bridges. For example, the one out here.
They look like streets somewhere else.
They look like a street, but they consider it a bridge because it's more than 20 feet and it's over the top of the creek.
And so just for my edification, why didn't we do like a RFP or like get bids for this or this contract?
We've been using George Butler & Associates since 2007 for this. The reason why we consider it, kind of our on-call
Yeah.
engineer.
Right.
I think there is an importance in consistency. All these bridge inspections go to KDOT, and KDOT reviews a lot of this stuff. And GBA has been doing it since 2007, and they've got a gold star from KDOT every time they've done it.
And is this 9,300, like what we paid last time?
2013 was $8,900.
So we did reselect GBA last year through
Right.
a competitive
Yep.
process.
Yep.
Right. He is. He told me that behind.
Any questions?
No. thank you.
Consent?
Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Well, we'll check it out for you.
What's the matter with it?
He took one key case out of the other key case and put it in a new key case. These could be dangerous. Did you see them over there, Carmen?
Whatever I can do to help.
Just don't leave before I
Let's
leave.
stay on track.
I won't steal your car.
Next.
You want my score?
You're funny.
Item number 4, if we're ready.
Yeah, resolution.
I want to jump the gun here. I wanna jump the gun.
2016 to 2020 CARS project list.
Thank you.
John Belger.
Johnson County CARS program requires us to submit our CARS projects over the next 5 years as part of their planning process. What we have submitted are 2 phosphorus projects. One is a project from 56th Street to 51st Street in 2017. The second would be 51st Street to Lamar in 2018. We've pushed those projects back 1 year from last year to better match up with the CIP.
So where, Lamar to east to the city limit, where's that?
Where's that now?
Lamar, at 51st Street, Lamar east to city limit. Oh, that goes to Roland Park, I'm sorry. I was thinking Foxborough.
To the Walmart.
And it stops at about almost at all.
Almost all,
Yeah. Just west of there.
I was thinking about the wrong street.
Right.
And Laura, this isn't authorizing us to spend anything at this present time, it's just authorizing us to potential plan on
Yes.
adoption for planning.
And the county asks every city who contemplates using and applying for CARS funds to submit this so that they know how to prepare their 5-year CIP. And Jennifer asked me, I think, a very good question, at agenda review yesterday, and that is, cars projects get pushed back, get pushed forward, get turned down all of the time, and it doesn't impact our ability to apply or be considered or move to the top of the list in any year.
You mean cities push back?
Yes, so
whatever
city,
change
yes,
or anything.
so
that's
city
changing
plans,
this one.
yes, exactly, so if we make a change, but we were originally, as John said, we pushed these back, so we were originally scheduled to start design of the first phase of Fox Ridge in the 2016 budget, no, 2015.
Design would start this
year
year with the project
funding
being
next year.
next
So if you look at the street program plan, we'll go through this obviously in the next couple of weeks in the budget, but last year when we adopted our CIP, we still had a modified gateway revenues in there. That changes the revenue picture dramatically on our street program, so we felt it really didn't make sense to put that much pressure on the 2016 budget.
It's gonna be interesting seeing how we reconcile that. Anybody have any further questions, any concerns? You want it on the consent? Sure.
That would be okay with me. I would recommend that.
Good job.
I don't know how I was recommended.
Would that be, reflected on the record?
No, I'm only kidding.
Okay, item number 5, Public Works Department, John Belger.
John,
And Laura's gonna help me a little bit with this one, but I wanted to, just kind of talk about the sweeper itself. For this year's capital update for our equipment, we are recommending that we replace our street sweeper. Our street sweeper is currently a 2007 model.
was purchased in 2004.
Pretty sure it's not
I
2005.
think
It is
it's
a
2005.
2005.
I was thinking it's older than that.
Gosh, too
How
many.
It was a
Yeah.
prototype.
Yeah.
It
It was
actually,
so
the
nice.
specs in 2005 spec'd out the cassette tape player in the cab.
And it is in there. So
No
if you guys have any laying
It
around,
was a
we'd
cassette
appreciate
player.
it. But the sweeper is a 2005 model. The sweeper is basically exactly what it says. We use it to clean streets and parking lots around the city. We also use it to serve as our vacuum truck to clean out inlets, pick up big debris,
Okay, I
etc.
think that might want to try that. Are we gonna put this on our surplus
I'm
equipment
gonna
list?
write
We
it.
will.
You're gonna write. I'm gonna write the deal.
Show up, exactly.
Does it clock miles on there?
I bought
Uh-huh.
that.
How many miles are on there?
Oh, gosh, I'm not exactly sure the total mileage, but we typically sweep about 18 or 1900 miles worth of street lane miles per year.
Oh.
Trail find it. But we typically sweep about 1900 lane miles a year, which is actually quite a bit. We dedicate about 450 to 500 hours to sweeping.
What's the life of this sweeper supposed to be?
We typically have a 10-year life on these sweepers.
So,
And the issue that we're running into with our current sweeper is the truck side of the sweeper is now basically irrelevant. It's a Sterling, so they don't make those trucks anymore, so you can't find parts.
Not good.
And the parts that you do find cost you quite a bit of money to get.
You got a trade-in on that, or
We'll purple wave it.
what does that mean?
Put it on Purple Wave and
We'll
sell
put it
it.
on purple wave
Oh, there
and
you
sell it.
Get your parts for it.
we won't tell them that.
Yeah.
Somebody will take it and make it into parts.
And how long is this lease supposed to last for?
The
4
le-
year.
The lease is a 4-year lease.
Okay.
Is this the same place we got the other one from?
It is not.
Okay.
And why aren't we just buying one outright?
Because a $220,000 piece of equipment, when our total capital budget each year is and about $350,000, means nobody else gets to buy anything. So kind of when we hit that $150,000, $200,000, so like John bought his trucks last year. We bought those outright. When we're looking at, I think we did 170 some odd in police fleet, or we did 150. So that's kind of our tipping point and what that impact has, and what the lease rates are.
Radios and
14,000 miles almost, and about 2,900 hours on that machine.
Strap a snowplow in front of that
It
thing.
goes
That would be
fast,
dangerous.
really
And
fast.
shovel the
Yeah,
snow.
exactly.
And if we just have it melt out the back, we've got a new invention.
Oh, there
Drive it till it dies.
You let Pat walk behind it when you're sweeping the snow.
I get to ride in the new one. I bought
No,
the
you
Danielle.
don't, you are donating it to some kid to
He
ride
told me
in
you would
it.
do the kid and let me do it.
No.
Oh, that's a good little do, work on the side
Yeah.
there, both of them.
That's because you beat everybody else.
2 for 1.
So in January, Trey put out a RFP to solicit bids for the sweepers. The one that we're recommending is the Rabo 5 I Series. Total cost for the sweepers, $213,000. Everybody was kind of grouped right around there.
Now that you've got some competition in the business, is it getting a little cheaper to buy a street sweeper?
It's helping quite a bit.
Okay.
It is.
Is Trey gonna be the robo sweeper?
No, that'll probably be Quinn and Kenny.
Yeah, we put together like a selection committee. So that way, they selected, you know.
You are that.
Is it a valued job? Is it hiking?
Well, no, I mean, some guys really enjoy it. Some guys really enjoy it. Some guys don't enjoy it at all, but they want somebody to use.
It might be a little better if you have some other.
Yeah, a new piece of equipment, everybody's gonna want to.
Yeah, right.
So it's-
Only if it has like a
Yeah.
CD player in it.
Yeah, I
It
noticed
comes down
that.
my street like a couple times a day.
Trey felt like it was important to include those guys that run it every day in the selection process because they're.
They buy
See
it.
all the
Yeah,
time.
it gives them the ability to voice their opinion to us, and then we're giving it back to them, you know, they're able to.
Great job.
And we've got plenty in the budget to cover that, and so I'd
So-
say we take it to,
Include
Council.
consent?
Yeah, I think that's
yeah,
I
good.
know that's an expensive piece of property. Do you want the people in the audience to know about it? Well,
No, that's
Sometimes
true.
it's nice.
necessity.
Sometimes it's just nice to let them
Yeah.
know.
Yeah,
How many years?
Yeah, I would-
Just on-
I wouldn't be opposed either way, but.
Okay.
It'll be a 2015 model.
I think it's,
so not. So it has 0 miles on it to begin
It'll be
with?
brand new.
Like a
Take that over the demo.
tinted windows.
They had a demo unit.
We-
The issue that we had with the demo unit, it was $1,000 cheaper, but it cut the warranty period in half.
What's the warranty on this?
2 year, 2,000
Just gonna
hours.
ask you that. 2 year what?
2 years, 2,000 hours.
I'm curious, I'm just like, what does that cover? Just anything that breaks on it, they'll.
Bumper.
So how many hours did you say was on this one? 28,000?
2,800.
2,900 hours.
Particularly people throw rocks in
Oh.
the curves and they have all sorts of things they try and get colors to pick up.
Oh, yeah.
Breaks and delicates.
Now, it's a machine that's made to suck dirt.
Will it suck leaves?
It's like a big, huge billy goat.
And
Right.
chip and seal.
Suck.
If you found like a big pile of leaves down by Waterworks Park or something, could you suck those up? Yeah,
They have your initials on them.
That is not allowed.
All right, let's
That
take
struck
this
from
to-
the record.
Let's take this to council, I recommend.
Come on.
thanks, Dave.
Okay, well,
Okay.
John's still here. Can I ask you a quick question about the truck he just mentioned they bought last year?
Yeah.
Please do, Suzie.
Why did we not have city emission on the side of this truck?
Because we're working on a different design from the previous ones.
Oh,
The stickers that we had before is basically the old logo,
okay.
and we're moving away from that. And
Why don't other guys once they have city emission on the side?
now the old logo, we were paying about $50 per sticker.
$56 per side.
So I think what we're gonna do is come up with a design and just make it with our sign plotter.
I was just gonna say, can we make that in-house?
So what do you mean, you're getting away from the sign?
Yeah, the big blue circle with the sunflower.
That we did for our 50th anniversary.
I'll tell you, there's no value in changing the brand, just because. I mean, $50, whatever, right? I mean, there's a consistency out there.
Sure.
I don't want to micromanage it, I'm just telling you, there is value in being consistent with the brand.
Just say city official.
You want to bring Kevin Fullerton up here to give you a dissertation on can.
What are you saying, Kevin?
You stick with the brand unless there's a reason to change it. And then you change it on everything. Otherwise, you lose the
Right.
familiarity
Impact.
with it, the impact, yeah.
Okay. Great, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Okay, did I answer your question, Susie?
Yes.
And then it brought up another one, we'll let John handle that.
Yep.
Okay,
Thanks.
thank you so
Can I ask
much.
John one more question?
Please.
Okay, I called you the other day about the hole as you're leaving Mission,
Mhm.
going toward Kansas.
On 630.
But there's another one when you go around, going south on that gap, the cove that goes around.
Okay.
Same kind of chunk out.
Big pothole, huh?
There's this
Is
app
it
that
at
Public
58th
Works
Street?
has.
Is it at 58th Street still?
I know.
Yes.
Okay.
I don't think it makes.
John's got an email.
We'll check into
There's
it.
an app out there, and you can drive right by it, you can click the app, the
That's
minute
what
you drive by
taking
it.
the picture.
Yeah.
I just like talking.
Not one. Because you knew you'd see it, and you.
No, don't do it while you're
Then I'm thinking
driving.
all other issues.
We wouldn't do that, we would not do it.
No.
while you're-
Pull over to the side of the
Thank you,
road,
John.
stop, take your picture,
Okay.
and then merge back in.
We are on, stormwater best management practices, cost sharing program, interlocal agreement, Danielle.
Yeah, and the action item says, this is for the approval of an interlocal agreement to participate in Johnson County's Stormwater Best Management Practices Cost Share Program. I think KCTV5 says it better in their article tonight about the same program. Johnson County offers residents free money for landscaping. So this is a program where Johnson County is giving residents money. We're basically just administering the program for them. There's no city money involved. We kind of designed the program so this would cover folks who want to do rain barrels or rain gardens or plant native trees. They'd be eligible to get half of their costs reimbursed through this program. We did this last year. We had one taker. They did a rain garden on their property. I think this year we could probably get more than that if we promote it a little bit more strongly. It was a new program last year everywhere, and lots of other cities are participating in it too. So we'd like your permission to renew that.
Yes, I recommend we take this, City Council.
I think that's a good idea.
Consent program, Madam?
Yep.
Thank you very much, thank you.
Like how you work, Daniel.
Great job. Yeah. Okay, and then we are for Community of All Ages Recognition Program, Emily.
Hello. As I mentioned in a previous update, we are engaged in a third phase of the Communities for All Ages program with Mid-America Regional Council, and we had discussed with our work that we have done in previous years, as Mission was a pilot city in phase 2, and are pretty, I would say, at the table regionally on this issue of preparing for changing demographics in our cities and adjusting city services accordingly, that we are nearly all in place already for bronze level recognition. And so we wanted to just give a formal nod to that application and that pursuit of that recognition level. So
We didn't want to do the silver.
I think we're,
I thought we talked about that.
we're well on our way. I think for a really thoughtful application that is more intentional about really working through the steps that are recommended in silver, we can get next year.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah.
Annual deal. Yeah.
Yep.
I like it.
The council.
Take it.
I would not put this on consent. I would talk about this. It's my recommendation.
Sounds good.
And just for our next step, we'll be talking with the comprehensive planning steering committee about this topic too, to kind of weave it into our planning efforts. So that's the next time a group will touch this.
Wonderful, thank you, Emily.
I would talk about how we're the leader in this. Sell it.
Then we are on the community, Johnson County Fiber Use Agreement, Laura.
Yes, a couple months ago, we approved the extension of, or the connection of our public works building to Johnson County Fiber as they come up from our connect to the Nelson treatment plant. We have been connected to Johnson County Fiber here at City Hall and the Community Center since 2010. As we looked at the public works connection, they realized that we didn't have a fiber use agreement, which they have in place with most of their other participating communities. They had mislabeled their Merriam agreement as a city admission. And so they said, oh, yes, we would kind of like to have this agreement. So this really just outlines who's responsible for what where, and it is in place for a period of 2 years initially, which means that they are allowed to cancel it with 180 days notice. We wanted in place for the first 2 years to make sure that we get our cost recovery of the installation for that.
And why would they want to cancel it? No, you're just doing that for our protection.
So don't they want to put city law on here too?
Well, I'll ask.
So this agreement would cover all of it, everything we have
Cover all
around
of
it? We're not doing it retroactively or anything like that?
Any questions? Consent?
Yes.
Thank you.
I know, I have a lot of pressure for me to get done with finance and administration.
So it's now, yeah, we are done, and this is.
Oh, we're not done, we have other items to discuss.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes, we have a.
This is in another 20 minutes.
And staff
This
is
is interesting, this is interesting.
So Danielle, we
Okay.
need to take comp plan first.
Yeah, sure. I have the updated calendar, an update, you guys, if you want one. Basically, we've, as of the steering committee, formulated the questions that go into the ETC community survey, and that's been sent out or is being sent out this week to residents. That'll go for about a month for them to collect results, and we'll analyze those results at the committee when we meet again. In the meantime, the steering committee has some time to do some education, learn about some planning issues that are relevant to the comp plan, and the first one we're going to touch on is the communities for all ages, like I already said. So at our next meeting on April 8th, we'll have Julie from that initiative come and give her talk, and it's a really great, I'm sure some of you have seen that. It's really great with the demographic shifts and making people aware of what the future may hold so that we can plan for comp plan.
Thank you, Danielle. So,
Must have been calendar day. I brought update calendars also. So, just the Park Master Plan calendar has been updated primarily because of the timing of the survey that went out. So, needed to make some adjustments. Our next steering committee meeting won't be until May 13th. But things that we have completed, of course, you know, we completed the initial round of public input and prospective group meetings. We have completed an inventory of all of the existing park facilities. And after the citizen satisfaction survey gets back in, then the consultant will start putting together the needs assessment, and we'll begin formulation of the initial recommendations. And that's at that May 13th meeting. We'll review the needs assessment and take a look at some of those initial recommendations, make sure that the consultant is on target and kind of heading in the direction that the steering committee believes they should be going.
Very good. Thank you. And we'll put a copy of the final survey. So the survey was mailed this week, so if you start to hear feedback in the community about I got a survey, it should be hitting the offices as we speak, and we'll make sure we get a copy of that in the packets on Friday.
so did,
Talk about surveys.
so does that, Amy or Susie, you have anything to add to that? Sandy?
We haven't met since we were here before, so.
Okay.
So is that survey you sent us, is it due today or on Friday?
One Glenn sent?
Yes.
Do last one.
Well, wait,
I don't know what he said.
And he
What did you say in the
He
recent?
said it was April 1st,
Okay, there you go.
which was today.
It's not over
It's
yet.
not too late.
Hey, I panicked this morning because I saw the email, I was like, well, the first one, apparently I never got it, or I deleted it, and then I found out after that, and then I saw it was due today, so I did it.
You did it. I haven't had it yet. All right. You ready?
Yep.
Okay, we're ready to start finance and administration, please? All right, the first item on the agenda is the CMB application for the shortstop BP. Martha?
Shortstop has decided that they would like to sell cereal malt beverage, beer, and they filled out all the necessary applications, they've done their background check, the zoning's all in place, and so CMBs need to be approved by council, and then it will come up for renewal in December when all the others come up. At that time.
All the filling stations in Mission have CMB permits right now?
No, the former Valero, Conoco, they did not renew theirs last year, they switched over, so.
Any questions, recommendations?
Recommendation to council consent.
All right, our favorite topic, surplus property resolution. Ms. Laura.
It's our quarterly declaration of anything we think we need to get rid of.
Capital stuff.
You're not eligible to purchase it, I'm
I
sorry.
don't think the street sweeper's on there either.
Yes. Not yet.
No goes by.
Not yet. Any comments?
Take it to council.
Take it.
All right,
Sunset.
Okay, purchase of police department body cameras. Oh,
Yeah, brother.
That'll probably be the first one that ends up on video.
Are you gonna put it on Periscope?
Wonder right.
What does that mean?
Great idea.
There you go, that would be a great idea. You wanna watch the Mission Police, just look at Periscope.
Might not be a good idea. Might be a version of Brooklyn Nine-Nine. So last month, gave you guys a quick update on the body cameras. I told you that there was $17,000 in the budget last year, and why we didn't spend it last year, because we wanted to make sure we were spending money on the right stuff. And last month, you guys approved the new server and the new booking camera. So we're asking for 30 brand new body cameras to outfit all the patrolmen and all the investigations division downstairs. All goes to the main server, and I know I'm running up on my time to beat Emily and Danielle. So if you guys are interested, that's exactly what it looks like.
Yep.
Sweet, yep.
So. and it
Oh, like a
comes-
little pot.
If you order today, we'll send you 30 extra ones.
Yeah.
Just pay separate shipping.
So, but this is exactly what we need. There's other departments that use different versions of body cameras, but this plugs into the server downstairs, so it's a one-stop shop for us to go for our videos.
Yeah, I think that's cool.
So,
Recommendation?
Yep.
Do you want to speak about it? Just to
Yeah,
let people
yeah,
know?
we'll
I don't
talk
want
about
this
that.
one.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much,
Thank
you guys.
good.
Will
Thank
you
you.
have one to bring on, to show?
I will not. It takes about 30 days for them to get here, but as soon as they get here, I'll bring one of the officers in and we'll throw a video up on and let you guys
Come
see.
to council meeting, we can stream the
Hey,
meeting
and maybe you can
live.
tase Pat, you know, like, we can get him to act out.
Oh, we can tase you for this. Well, real quick, did we go get a bid for these across the board to understand kind of the price state out there for the body cameras?
These are probably honestly middle of the road. We didn't go out and solicit bids from everybody because
Okay.
they're all roughly the same price. This is middle of the road, but it has to be compatible with the software hardware that we
Do the other cities around us all have those? You know?
None of the other cities have this. There's another.
Because that's
it's called-
brand new. That's
There's
like
another
the
one that's
latest.
called ViView that's out there that's a little bit more expensive. But this.
Chief, how's that mount? What are you doing?
There's a clip on it. So that clip can actually hook right on here.
Yeah, okay.
And then that means that these are gonna have to probably go
So
here.
geared up.
And then,
So it just adds another couple pounds to you.
is the clip on that big or is it just a little?
It's small. It's a little smaller than
So do you carry that in your pocket? What is that? Or is that the server thing? What is that you got in your hand?
This is walkie-talkie.
Yeah, this.
Nobody's talking about what you call.
Oh, this?
No, I know what that is.
Yeah. No, this can clip right here or it'll clip here on the belt.
Okay.
So either way. But what this will allow us to do is when we go on calls for service, disturbance calls, foot chases or whatever, we'll have video of exactly what happens, right? As
So-
opposed to it just being in the narrative, we'll have video of everything.
So will that be running constantly?
That's what's going on.
Or do you have the ability to switch it on and off?
It'll be on and off.
Like you do today for your sound and your
Right.
car. So when you bring an officer to display it, they need to pose just like that.
I'll see what I can do. I don't have sunglasses.
Oh, let's make Kirk do it.
You want Kirk here to do? See what I can do.
And is that going to sync back up when you get the parking lot, or is that syncing all the time? How is that?
We take them off and they'll have to go into a docking station. Okay. Downstairs. So like I said, it all
Can
goes
they
to
be
the
destroyed?
Can they be destroyed? No.
Is it
Not
like
once-
a black box?
Once it gets downloaded, there's only certain people who can.
No, I mean,
Like
before
if
it's
you were-
like if you got hurt.
Not unless it ends up submerged in a pool.
Are those on batteries then?
What's that?
On batteries?
Inside of his left arm, Kirk actually has a tattoo of that camera.
It's like, I got you, Andy's camera.
So but real quick, for those of you that attended the Citizens Academy last year, I know that the new class starts tomorrow.
Oh.
And Kirk will be emailing out the dates, since you guys didn't get to see somebody get tased last time. You do get to see somebody get tased.
Ah, you volunteered for that already. We
I
can see
did
it
last
next
time, I
meeting.
was too fast, they couldn't use it.
See?
Write that down.
I got 2 shots, that's
That's it.
thank you guys.
Thank you
Thank you.
very much. Okay, funding for the farmers. Oh, wait, we were
Yeah.
talking about non-stuff, right? Oh,
Actually, Emily is the one with all the details. Do you want to talk about it?
Okay, you go first.
Okay.
As you all know, we are embarking on a farmer's market this year. A committee came together and started having discussions about what could be possible and really got a lot of momentum going, and we started reaching out to vendors, floating some ideas, asking their opinions. We're getting really good, really encouraging response. We knew all along that the community wanted it. We've heard it multiple times, of course, as you all have as well. And we figured with Johnson Drive's momentum, the time was right to strike and get going. And so we still are in early days, relatively speaking, confirming vendors, making sure we have the right variety of vendors, and kind of working out some of the details. So there's a lot going on kind of outwardly, reaching out for people and spreading the word and drumming up interest, while at the same time behind the scenes getting our act together and figuring out how exactly we want it to go and how we'll make it work best. There are a lot of resources regionally for market support, I would call it. The movement of small agriculture and urban agriculture is just really, really growing. We have our extension office. Johnson County Community College has a sustainable agriculture program. There's Cultivate KC and other groups. So we're definitely reaching out to them and saying, hey, we're starting, and any guidance you can share is really appreciated. So we're doing that all kind of at the same time, working on marketing ideas, getting a logo, with Springboard Creative's help, designing a really versatile look for our brand for the market, so that it's inexpensive, just 2-color, really simple to reproduce in all sorts of ways, which I think will serve us really well. So what we'll be talking about is positioning our market in the green space that's across from Twisted Sisters on Johnson Drive, on the south side of that green space, between Reeds and Maple. So far we're talking about vendors backing into the stalls, selling on the sidewalk, but leaving that open space available for additional vendors on the other side of the sidewalk, as well as kind of kid play spot on the grass, music, food trucks. We're kind of thinking about it all right now. So of course we'll have more details for you, but that's the lay of the land right now.
Are we concerned at all about that creek back there?
No, it's a good distance away. If we needed to, yeah, it is fenced, exactly.
Yeah. How much time are you and the rest of staff spending on this, and how much time do you anticipate having to spend on this?
Well, we've talked a lot about trying to keep it, there's a lot of different market models. You have fully staffed, Overland Park, full program versus, Shawnee that is extremely low maintenance, kind of do-it-yourself market. And I think we're talking about trying to find ways that makes it sustainable week to week with volunteer help, and with pretty a low bar of setup in terms of vendors bringing their own materials and that. So I think ongoing we'll work it out so that we're pretty smooth, but those conversations still, the details of really how it will work and what vendors we need is still kind of in flux. We're working a lot with the committee that we got started right now with volunteers helping to reach out. I'm spending a good bit of time calling, but so are others, and trying to share the work, really of spreading.
No, I understand, and with the volunteers,
Mm-hmm.
I got no problem. We appreciate them
Mhm.
stepping up.
Yeah.
I'm more concerned with how much time you and other staff people are spending right now.
Yeah.
And I realize right now it requires more time than it will later.
Right.
But can you give me an estimate of what you think is going to take? What are you doing now, and what do you think it's going to take in subsequent years?
Yeah, now is, like you said, the hard part to reach out to make sure everybody, it's just phone calls, it's work, spreading the word, and we will sort of take it big once we've got a little bit more details. We'll make Facebook work for us, and some, promotions and ads, which right now I'm doing a lot of one-on-one because we're at the phone call stage rather than the marketing stage. So that part will get easier. I really do think the weekly task, we'll get everybody's paperwork in each year. The vendors will, return their paperwork in. That will be time, but one time, and each year, of course, it will get easier and easier as people return.
Are you the only staff person working on it?
Primarily, yes.
Yeah.
And what are you doing right now? 10 hours a week on it?
No, she's doing right for the last, because we're at that critical point where we had, it's basically been cold calling lists of farmers and vendors
Yeah.
to see if we could get a critical mass to even
Make
have
it
a go at
happen,
this, make
right.
it happen this year. And so I would say, I mean, you're the better part of 25 hours a week for probably the last month in the column. But that is, I mean, we're at that critical, I mean,
If it's gonna go this year, we
if
have
it's
to do
gonna
it
go,
right now.
yeah, if
Right.
it's gonna go this year, it's gotta go now. From that point forward, I think it's, we now have between the time this market starts and next year to do all of that at a much more leisurely pace. And if we can be successful with this, I think what we've seen in the other market models is that really breeds kind of success and, you know.
I hope I'm not giving you the wrong impression. I'm all for this farmer's market, but I was just curious what we're doing as far as staff time on it. The way I had originally heard it was they were trying to do it with pretty much all volunteer, and I would think volunteers could handle phone calls and go down the phone list and contact these people. So I don't know why you have to spend that much time, but
I think it's important to have the city, having a city staff person getting involved in the beginning and really trying to build that, not to discount
There's a whole group of
a
people calling
volunteer.
on prices for
Oh,
tents,
yeah.
or
You
calling
know,
on
there's
all
tons
kinds
of things
stuff.
to be calling about, but I think really showing the city's commitment, I think it's important to have a staff.
And those
member.
volunteers have been very active, haven't they?
Oh, yeah, it's
They're
extraordinary, yeah.
really excited and active on it, Pat. Yeah. I was
We are shopping out as much
impressed.
as we can. The time it takes to kind of pull a list together and then distribute it out and then have the people, you know,
Yeah, that's
and
true,
we
too.
will be needing to make some administrative decisions, and hearing the commentary is helpful in terms of making some kind of
getting the feedback
decisions.
directly from these.
Yeah, like I've heard it from
Potential
this many
vendors.
people, the little nuances of what they say they need or want, or, you know, and how important it does sound to them versus, no, that's just a preference, we don't need to go down that road. That's all really helpful for me. So a lot of the, I mean, this weekend was the Food Circle Expo, and we had volunteers there and talked to a lot of people, and then my phone was ringing, and so it was nice that legwork was done, that they directed it to me, so then I wasn't doing the calling, but it was able to make those contacts as a follow-up, so that worked well. Just kind of playing it by ear with what works most efficiently.
So the $19,000, is this a year over year? Will this be built into the budget kind of going forward?
No, and let me touch on that. So what you have between these two line items in your budget and have had historically is about between $19,000 and $20,000 that you spend on a variety of just events and things that we're doing. In the past, you may or may not have known, even though you approve the budget every year, you were contributing about $7,000 to the MCBB special events from these line items. Okay, so we know we're not having a family festival. We'll still have the carnival, we won't have the family festival and the barbecue. We're taking a one-year break to revamp that a little bit. So you definitely, and the fireworks were the other piece, and the NCBB has said they want to kind of shift a focus for a Christmas market. So you've got that had sort of been planned for in this year's budget, which we know we're not going to be contributing to that cause.
Right.
Our thought was, we certainly have a lot more firming up of budget to do, but we are going to have to commit to the vendors before you all meet again. And say, yes, we're really going to try to pull this off. So I think what we were looking for was at least some initial budget authority to do that, and then we can certainly bring back, you know, a more fleshed out budget and let you react and respond to that.
And we're confident that a farmer's market fits underneath that transient guest tax that funds the MCBB that needs, because there's really, there's very select things, right?
That goes to this one.
All of the transient guest tax revenues right now support the magazine, and it covers about 50% of the cost. So yes, I'm 100% clear that we meet those statutory requirements with that.
One thing, I know we'll be leaving, but one of the things I'd like to see is the recycled bags we've had in the past, things like that have the mission things on them that we already have at hand, we're not purchasing extra, that we can, a lot of people love to wear stuff that says mission on it. If we have any apparel or anything like that, to me, that's a perfect venue for getting some of that stuff out. I mean, I bought a couple of the bags made out of the banners. I have more comments on those. Yeah. People say, well, where do you get them and how do you do them?
Yeah.
So anything we can have with the city, you know, that gives credibility back to the city too.
I like it.
Yep.
I recommend we take it.
Okay. Not consent. Thank you. Okay, that concludes our action items. Moving on to our discussion items. The role of governing body during an emergency.
So you guys, I'll get that question and answer type
survey
thing that was in the packet. That kind of goes through the major questions that we would go through during an emergency as far as your role in
Yeah.
that.
Oh, yeah.
There's not a lot of requirements for you initially. I think a lot of that is based on the fact that since you all are mission residents, you might be impacted by any type of disaster or emergency we would have. So the ordinance and the emergency operations plan gives pretty broad power to the mayor and the city administrator to take action and go through and make sure we can accomplish what we need to accomplish in a short time without having to go through the processes that are normally gone through for expenditures. So as far as your roles, there are, if it's a devastating disaster, the finance committee chair is responsible for coming. Other than that, if the mayor or city administrator makes any orders under a declaration of emergency or disaster, you all have the authority with a 2/3 vote to rescind or amend those orders. Other than that, the operational aspect are things that we work on and are very scalable. And I'm continuing to go through our emergency operations plan. It needs quite a few revisions, but going through that, a lot of which includes animal control policies and things like that are kind of out of date.
How did this differ from what we did before?
This
One
doesn't.
Before with some of the questions and answers, a survey. How does this differ from what we did before?
It's not really different. It's more just an informational
I just didn't know.
awareness of what kind of goes on during those situations.
Any other questions?
Right, so if the emergency operations center is activated, there'll certainly be some level of communication about what level of response is then required in that emergency operations center. If the building is intact, then that really becomes City Hall and the police department. And as elected officials, you're generally stuck upstairs with me waiting to give updates to the media in connection with the police department. Doesn't get very exciting. So typically our disasters, we're at highest risk for probably tornadoes and ice storms.
Who's the primary contact with media? The mayor or you?
Depends on the event, really. So oftentimes that's going to be handled by, it really is, in most cases, it's probably going to start with Dan, and then those responsibilities will
And that's where the scalability of it comes into play, where, if it turns out that more than one task is too much for one person, then you just continuously bring in additional resources to help spread the tasks around. So that's the scalability of an event, where if it's just a normal crime event that we get called in on, and we usually handle the media. I mean, you handle more than one role as a incident manager, but as with the you can just scale that depending on the event.
Under continuity of operations, do you have a breakdown at all, just of samples or examples of what kind of events would constitute what?
Yes,
responses?
there are, and it's in there. It's in the level one. They're broke down in the manual by level 1 response and level 2 response, and that kind of dictates what resources and what people are brought in for the emergency operations center.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you very
Very
much.
good.
Good information.
And now we will be moving to the CIP forecast. Laura.
Okay, and before I jump into that, just a reminder, so it's on everybody's radar screen. It doesn't come through committee, but at your April 15th meeting, it'll be time for you to elect council president and vice president. So I just wanted to make that comment. It will just be scheduled as a regular agenda item. Capital infrastructure planning, we did kind of a 5-year forecast last time. We haven't done as much forecasting on the capital infrastructure revenue side. And so we thought it might be interesting to sort of add that into the mix as another piece as we build our community investment program, our 5-year CIP, and then see how we really compare with the forecast and whether, because what you're going to see as we move from this piece into the actual building of our community investment plan is that we're much more conservative in the revenue projections there. We're trying to be mindful of things like appropriate debt coverage because we're making debt service payments. So we're going to be estimating much lower on the revenue side than what you may see in this 5-year financial forecast. So we really wanted to start using this tool to kind of give us some benchmarks and watch what happens to those and see if we have the ability or comfort level to take care of any of those things. So really over the last 10 to 12 years, we've taken very specific steps to address infrastructure challenges that face us. Specifically, we've created a number of dedicated revenue streams that include those things listed: stormwater utility fees, transportation utility fees, property tax revenues, 2 different dedicated sales taxes, one for streets, one for parks and recreation, drainage districts. Those are the ones that are within the control of our city and our governing body. The special highway revenues, special parks and recreation are both pass-through revenues from the state of Kansas. One is generated from gas tax, the other from alcohol or liquor by the drink tax. So those can be taken away from us at any point. Special highway generates about $240,000 a year, and it's been really flat in the 10 years that I've been working on budgets here, so we don't see a lot of growth there. Special parks and recreation runs between $35,000 and $45,000 a year. And then county, state, and federal funds, and potentially then transfers from other funds, particularly the general fund over the last probably last 10 years. So we take all of these infrastructure revenues now and we account for them and plan for revenues and expenditures in our 5-year community investment program, which we will start with stormwater and parks at our April budget meeting, and then we'll move into streets, and then we'll bring those all together and eventually marry those up with the entire budget. So just highlighted in the memo, most of you know kind of the benefits of planning and developing a 5-year program. It's really a management tool. Again, the first year of the community investment program is adopted as a part of the budget. That's sort of set in stone. The other 5 years are fluid, or other 4 years are fluid and flexible, and they really help us plan for and adjust for projects and things happening in our city and our economy. It's also a way to communicate with developers. Cities, developers, utility companies often share community investment programs, so that to the extent that we have the ability to time our capital projects and maximize the disruption, we can do that. It also can allow us, if we have a 5-year planning document, to leverage funds. If we can go to the grant, go through a grant process and show that we have those funds anticipated or planned for in a CIP, it can also help us ahead of other folks who may be in line or applying for those. The information included in your packet really just kind of showed you, and we've combined all of the various revenue streams that feed into this. So on the Parks and Recreation side, we do have that special Parks and Recreation sales tax, which is 3/8 of a cent. Last year, it generated about $845,000. On that graph, because we are coming back to be a little more conservative. So if you look at kind of what we did, this is kind of how we're forecasting. And so we try to be a little more conservative and see if we do better than that actually. So Parks and Recreation sales tax and that special Parks and Recreation revenue, which is pretty flat. So the growth that you see in Parks and Recreation revenues in this forecast is exclusive to increases in the sales tax. How do we make that look better? By adding more sales tax generators within the community. The 10-year sales tax can be used for maintenance operations and capital, and it will sunset in 2023. On the stormwater side, the revenue generator there is our stormwater utility fee, which is assessed currently at $23 per ERU per month, and an ERU is an equivalent residential unit, which is equal to 2,600 square feet of impervious surface, and that's kind of the standard that we use for single-family residential properties. And then the fees are assessed to our other properties based on, we actually do some mapping, and polygon drawing around their rooftops and parking lots to estimate, equivalent ERUs. That rate is set every year during the annual budget process, so that's something the council reviews, and adopts each summer, and is then certified to the county, and the stormwater utility fee is collected through part of the residential tax bill. You can see there really the most significant increase occurring between 2010 and 2011. As we talked about last week, that was that debt restructuring that occurred with the temporary notes on the Gateway project that allowed for the city to essentially cover their debt service obligations should that site remain vacant. On the street side, you have a quarter-cent sales tax, which generates about $525,000 a year. You have the transportation utility fee, which generates about $750,000 a year. You have the gas tax, which generates about $250,000 a year. So you look at, we have, really from this point forward, somewhere between 4.6 and $4.8 million that we contribute into our community investment program, and we use that to try to leverage CARS dollars, as we were talking about earlier, stormwater program dollars, and other state and federal grant.
Can I ask you just a quick question? Regarding sales tax, do we have a menu or an inventory of, for instance, Hobby Lobby, and how much sales tax revenue is generated, and what the projection is for loss over the year by property based on current or past use?
And we have access to sales tax data. It's not public information, so we can't share that in any specific way. But we do, I think I may be the only person right now in the organization with access to that, but we do factor the potential impact of new development.
Because I think we went through that when the Gateway was first even considered, you remember?
Absolutely, we talked about looking at that, but unfortunately, we have to be very judicious in how that gets reported back. People are very sensitive to that information. But we do, so obviously when we're negotiating a new development project, that information is a little bit more public, because we've talked about that and looking at incentives and those kinds of things. When a business is leaving, it's a little trickier on how we account for that. Yes. So major stormwater projects and arterial street projects are funded with a lot of assistance from the county and their CARS and their SMAC program. We have been very successful in the last 10 years in getting those funds. We made a lot of improvements. We've made $25 million plus in each of those categories over the last 10 years, which is incredibly significant for a community of our size. And I think we've seen that in increases to our underlying property valuations. I think we've seen that in other investments in our community. So our next steps in the budget process will really just entail a very detailed review of the community investment program by program area. So we will start talking about specific projects on the park side, on the stormwater side, and on the street side. And that, again, as I said, is really just a tool that helps guide that discussion. When we reintroduced a CIP, probably 3 years ago, and I think you saw it in the street program plan, it's very easy to go upside down very quickly in a 5-year plan when you're talking about multi-million-dollar projects. We had a lot of discussion around this table about a comfort level showing negative balances, and I think we've taken a couple of approaches. From my perspective as a planner and as an administrator and as a finance person, because it is a planning document, I think it's important to, if those projects are priorities, to show them. They can always be adjusted, but I think it helps keep it out in front of councils and in front of the public what the needs are. So we have to adjust as revenues, change. And one of the biggest things, as we talked about before, is we will take the anticipated gateway revenues out of the CIP when we go through it this year. So it's going to look different than the one we adopted for the current year. So that's really all I have this evening. Be happy to answer any questions, and just wanted to kind of, again, set a little bit of a different framework as we move through the next step. I did include in here the revised budget calendar. Martha and I compared notes, and we think we got it right, but if you see anything that we missed in that, please let me know. So our next budget meeting would be the 29th, right, of April.
Okay. So the only other meeting we have in April is April 15th of the city council meeting. Any other questions? Any questions for Laura?
Yeah. Off the subject, of course, but, has Malene got another proposal to the, planning committee?
No, he has not submitted anything formally to the planning commission.
Heard anything from him?
They're out there yes, they are out there working on it. But as we told them, please do not, please do, I mean, I think there was the article in the pitch and in the Prairie Village Post, he, I think, has a project that meets the zoning requirements.
What'd you say you think?
It appears to. I mean, he hasn't submitted a plan, so it does not resemble the plan that you saw in November. And we have said you need to go out and,
Well, when you say it meets the zoning requirements, that would not be a big Walmart.
Not by itself.
Not by itself.
It would be residential and,
Remember, you can't have over 100,000
Mixed
square
use.
feet.
Mixed use, yeah.
Those kind of things are still in play.
Multi-story, multi-use, mixed use.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have any updates on the positions you're hiring? Any exciting news to share?
I am hoping, yes, we had Chief Hadley and not Bruce from Ellers, but Nick, I don't know if you've probably met Nick Anhut, he's part of that team. And then an outside former finance director, now CPA in the private sector. We interviewed candidates for the finance director's position last week, right before you went to Vegas. And we have some good choices. I'm in the process of trying to negotiate to hope to be able to maybe be in a position to have the council consider confirming that.
Are we hiring anybody for the summer? Any summer interns or anything?
And then I know at the end of last year, there was an opening in the MCBB leadership. Has that been decided yet? Is there any changes with that?
Yeah, they're kind of talking about what sorts of projects they want to do. And then I think once we get that firmed up a little bit, we'll look at what that leadership is.
Because I would like to plug, I know when Martha and I went to the LKM conference in Wichita, which I highly recommend you all attend in Topeka this year. There's this really super fun thing they were showing about like Halloweens and downtown areas and doing like a trunk or treat and maybe joining with Trinity Lutheran, they always do a big trunk or treat, something big and fun. I mean, like I was out in the Prairie Village shops last Halloween and all the kids are trick or treating around there and the businesses are staying open late and stuff, so it was a ton of fun. So a lot. Any news on potential highway levy replacement?
I'm still trading. In fact, Steve Capping and I traded voicemails today.
Is that the block there?
That's the block there, yes. The other, I will tell you that the Mission Merchants who put on the art walk for the last several years, where they closed one of the side streets, they've revamped that this year and are taking the art walk just 2 Saturdays during the day to the sidewalks on Johnson Drive, hoping to try to create a different kind of energy for that event. So we're really excited. One of those, we get a both of them. If we get the farmers market pulled off, we'll really, we think, create, and they're talking about really kind of spreading that out. They've got some new folks, some of the new businesses that are helping.
Well, it's going to be from 11 to 5, too.
Yeah, 11 to 5,
Better time then.
which is when those businesses are open. So we aren't asking them to stay open. Yes. So I think there's really, again, trying to capitalize on the investment that we made down there and get people down there.
Awesome. Any other questions?
And I am assuming that everybody's going to cheer for Kentucky on Saturday night?
No.
Absolutely. They are so lucky they got
They really
oh my gosh.
So
Neither one of them wins.
It's 38. Let's talk about luck. Come on.
When you're 7'2", it's physics.
Okay, well, that officially
Officially concludes the Finance Administration Committee meeting. I think we were 2 minutes under.
Good job.
Good job, girl.
I don't know.
Good job.
Hey, got chance. Is able to ask for.
Thank you.
When are you leaving?
I know, should have been in Vegas.
This is the time. Yeah, Vegas.
Okay.
For me?
That's right.
This is what we do with the old brushes out of our street sweeper. Guy who's our benefit broker, he has horses. And
Oh, they love it.
They're ruining the side of his barn. He's like,